welcome back to my channel. Amy here, or welcome if you're new. Today we're going to be talking about my January wrap up. I read / listened to 9 books in the month of January. No, because I DNF'd one. So yeah, maybe we should talk about that one first and get that one out the way. So It Will Just Be Us by Joe Kaplan. Sadly, I DNF this book. I bought it. It's been a while since I bought it, but I put it on my TBR wish list because I think Riley Sager had said something about it on Twitter, and I was like, I'm all about a good haunted house story. So I wrote it down, but it just I could never really get into it. And then very early on in the book, I tried to even skip over the parts of animal abuse, but I just couldn't do it. I guess it was more of reptile abuse. It don't matter what you're abusing. I don't want to read about a poor little helpless creature. No, I don't. I can't do it. And that just kind of threw me off to begin with. And I tried to keep going. I tried to keep going and skip over the parts because it happens again. And I was just like, no, I'm not interested. I don't support this. But I did go online on Goodreads and YouTube and listened to and read some spoilers just because I wanted to see what exactly was happening, where was the story going, because even besides the reptile abuse, I couldn't fully get into the story or the characters or anything. So yeah, so I checked out some spoilers and I really wasn't super impressed about it myself. So yeah, I can't even tell you what this was about. It does have a haunted house in it, a terrifying new gothic horror novel about 2 sisters and a haunted house that never sleeps. There seems to be a timeline as well. I think her sister comes to live with her. I don't even know. I don't even know. I wasn't interested enough to really remember anything of what I did read, except for the traumatizing reptile abuse. So yeah, this was a DNF. January was also winter ween. We had a week of winter ween reading, wintry, scary books. So I had chose 3. I think I talked about in my January TBR. And that didn't go well. This was one of them. So it started off roughly. And then I moved on to 5 Total Strangers. This is by Natalie D. Richards. I gave it 2 stars. I did fully read it. So it is basically about these 5 strangers. They're kids. So it's a young adult type thriller. And they basically get in the car because their plane or their flight gets delayed because of the weather, because there's a really bad, I believe, snowstorm. So they rent this vehicle and decide to drive home, or this one person takes it upon herself to round up these people and drive them home, as well as get herself home. We mainly follow Myra. She's a teenage girl flying home for Christmas, and the flight gets canceled due to weather. So she meets this young woman on the flight, and the young woman's like, hey, me and my friends are going to be driving home. We'll gladly drop you off wherever you need to go. So anyway, so they go on their journey, and it's basically the entire time they're just in this vehicle trying to get somewhere, and they just keep coming across something. And there's someone, like there's things start to go missing. There's someone like among them that is doing these things. Like it's like, I guess like maybe messing with their head. So, you know, it sounds really good, but really it was just them bickering and driving through the snow and getting themselves into some sort of like little trouble. Bella has decided to grace us with her presence. Huh. So yeah, I really wasn't like the entire time I'm like, okay, can we get somewhere? Where are we going? Have we even made it anywhere? And then there's this odd man that seems to be following them. Oh, and there's also like these parts in the book where there's letters. Someone seems to be writing to Myra. So there's that. So you're like, okay, what does that have to do with the story? So we finally get to the end, and it was just like, it just all kind of like felt jumbled together, and it wrapped up very, very quickly. And even though I did sort of guess who it was and what was kind of happening, but that really doesn't, you know, deter me from like whether I'm going to end up liking a book or not. But to me, it was just all this teenage bickering back and forth and just driving around in the snow. I was like, and then it was just wham bam, it was over. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so that's my review on that book. I did listen to this one on audio, and I didn't really care for the audio either. The voice was just very bland. Nothing exciting about it. So yeah, off to a sort of rough start for the month of January and trying to do Winterween. I pretty much gave up on Winterween after that. I was gonna read like a short story in the dark, and I never got to it. I still do want to read it. It's a Lisa Unger short story, Amazon read kind of thing. So I do still want to do that, but you know, I'll get to it another time. So of course, when I'm just not feeling any of my reads, I just jump into a male romance, because that usually always like brings me out of my slump and gets me back on track. So I ended up reading Stealing the Merman. This is by Aramis Jordan. This is the third book in the Cursed Merman series. This was an arc. Aramis kindly sent this to me to read and review. It came out on January 26th. If you have gotten into the Cursed Merman series or trilogy or whatever it's going to be, I think there's going to be another book. I highly recommend continuing, even though this wasn't my favorite one. I did give it 4 stars because I love the stories that Aramis gives us in these merman and human relationships. And I need to correct myself, because I've been calling this fantasies, and it's not fantasies. It's like paranormal, supernatural kind of things happening, because we have mermen, and it does have some magical realism going on, because there's, you know, like potions for the mermen, you know, and the mermen are cursed. But it's really good. I've really been enjoying since the first book. The second book has been my favorite so far. So this one it's a male romance. Now I do want to say, before you think about jumping into the Cursed Merman, oh, sorry Mom, I usually put my phone on silent, but I forgot. So yeah, so before you jump into this series or trilogy or whatever it's going to be warned that there's a lot of sex, a lot of sexy times happening here. It's very graphic and detailed, and it's a lot, and it can be a lot. Now the first 2 books I was good with. I'm all about it, y'all. I'm all about some good smut. But this third book, it got to one point in the book, it was like one long chapter, and I might have said this in my vlog, because I do have a vlog where I read this. I'll link it down below. But the whole chapter was this intense, graphic, detailed sex scene between our 3 characters. And I was just like, whew, I need to take a break, or we need to move on from this. I finished reading the chapter, but it was a lot even for me. And I can do the smut, I can do the graphic, intense sex scenes, I can do it. But this was a lot. So just warning you, and I was warned about this as well. But for me, it was just that one long chapter. Everything else in the book, I really did like. I liked getting to know our characters. So we briefly meet Finn in the first book. And there's talk of him a little bit, I think, in the second book. But we get to know Finn more in this book. And we also get to know Darren a little bit more. We meet Darren as well from the first book. So we get to know, the book starts off actually with a backstory of Darren and, you know, where he's come from. He started off on a pirate ship and then enters Connell, which is our third character. Connell was the captain of the pirate ship, and Darren was like his third mate or something. He was basically Darren's bitch. I mean, Colin's, but Darren was basically Colin's bitch, I guess you could say. So we get to know Darren and where he came from, and Connell, and where their relationship blossomed, and how, you know, how they met and their story. And I love that. Aramis has the best backstories. And then we finally kind of get to current times and how the three of them end up meeting, how Finn ends up on like the other ship where we get to one certain point in the book, and then Connell kind of enters the story again, and then our men finally get together and continue with their journey. And it's really good. The story behind all the sexy times is what I love about these books. I'm so into it. I'm into the stories. I love these characters. I've really been enjoying them. But yeah, this one was just not my favorite, but I still loved it. Wanting more and to keep going with my male romances in January, I picked up Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. Loved this book. So adorable, so cute. It hit me in all the right spots. I can't wait for the second book. I didn't realize this was going to be like a little series, or maybe like a little duet book or whatever, until I really got into it and learned that we were going to continue with these guys' relationship in the second book. So this is Luke O'Donnell and Oliver's Blackwood's story. So Luke and Oliver, they know each other, or they know of each other, and they have like this, it's not that they're enemies, it's just like they both have these certain ideas of each other, and they each think the other person doesn't necessarily like them. So we get a situation where Luke needs a fake boyfriend for a little while to help with his job, and just help with his like persona, and because Luke is actually the son of a rock star that was very popular like back in the day, and is now kind of having like a comeback. So a lot of people, so Luke, even though Luke hasn't really been in the spotlight, he's known as this rock star son. So he's, from there, people just assume he has this like crazy rock star life, and that's really not Luke at all. So just to make things better for himself and for his job and like what's happening in that area, he needs a fake boyfriend, a fake relationship. So his best friend sort of sets him up with Oliver. And like I said, even though they've met each other in the past and they know of each other, they've never really particularly like felt that each other have liked the other one, sort of thing. So yeah, it was just so cute, them getting to like really know each other and really decide for themselves how they feel about the other person. So cute. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Can't wait for the next one. Okay, then I picked up a thriller. Once again, I was just a tad bit disappointed. This is Hostage by Claire McIntosh. Ashley from Biblio's podcast and I buddy read this one in the month of January, and she had to sort of like explain the whole thing to me for me to like realize what happened in the end. When it came to the end, I was like, wait, what? what happened? So yeah, after consulting with Ashley, she informed me of the ending, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna bump this up to 3.5 stars, because I originally kind of gave it like 3 stars. But then once I realized what was happening in the ending, I was like, ooh, clever, I like it. We're gonna give it a 1/2 star. So we follow Mina. Mina is a flight attendant, and she's about to go on this 20-hour like iconic flight to Sydney, Australia. The last time this flight was done, something traumatic happened, so it's been years since they've made this flight, like just a straight flight there. So they're doing it again, and she is going to be a flight attendant on that flight. We also follow her husband, Adam. Adam is a cop, and he has a little bit of like a gambling problem. So their relationship's a little rocky because of that, and they have an adoptive daughter, and they also have like a babysitter, sort of like, that helps kind of take care of the daughter, because you know both their jobs are kind of demanding. You know, Mina never knows what kind of flight she's going to be on, and then Adam being a cop, so they always have like a babysitter, or they had like a nanny. But anyway, yeah, the entirety of the story was really, really interesting, getting to know like Mina and Adam and what was happening in their relationship. But then once Mina gets on the flight, she starts getting like these clues, and she gets like a letter about basically stating, if you don't do this, your family will be harmed, or something. What does it say? The following instructions will save your daughter's life, is what it says in the synopsis. She gets this note, but other little things kind of start to happen while she's attending the flight, and then she gets this note. So, you know, she has to do what she feels like she has to do. And that's sort of the main point of the story. But it was really interesting, and you get these stories from some of the passengers as well. So every now and then a passenger will tell you about their experience on this flight and what they're doing there and things like that. And in the end, it all kind of like comes together. But I was just a little confused at like what it all meant, and I was just like, wait, what? Because it was just a lot of characters, I guess, and trying to remember these characters and if they had anything to do with what was happening. Now, the one thing I didn't like about this book was, and that's kind of basically what threw me off, there was, I don't want to give it away, but there was just the whole point of like the hostage situation. The whole point of that, I was not here for. I was thinking it would be something bigger than that. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, it was a fun story, and like I said, I thought the ending, once it was properly explained to me, I was like, okay, I like it. So yeah, 3.5 stars. Then I picked up A Flicker in the Dark. This has been something I've been anticipating because it is based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is pretty much my hometown. So I was really excited about this book, about this thriller. I mean, I've read books that were based in Louisiana, but never like this close to home kind of thing. So we follow Chloe Davis. When Chloe was young, around 12, 13 years old, these girls started to go missing, and her father ends up confessing to these crimes. So forward to present times, we have grown-up Chloe, who is now like a psychologist. She has like her own practice, but she's still dealing with things that have happened in her past. And now all of a sudden, young girls are starting to go missing again, and things seem to be coming back. And Chloe thinks that there's possibly a copycat killer out there. Chloe also has a little bit of a drug abuse problem, so there's that in there. It's very minor, but there is drug abuse in here. And she can tend to maybe hallucinate or not really know if what she's seeing or thinking is, you know, really true. So there's that aspect to the story, but mainly Chloe is just determined to figure out what is happening to these young girls. I didn't figure it out. I had no clue. Like it never even dawned on me. I really enjoyed it. At first I gave it 5 stars, but then the more I sat on it, I dropped it down to 4, just because I wasn't necessarily happy with the ending. But all in all, I had a good time with it. It was just really fun reading and like seeing like Baton Rouge and Baton Rouge General and just like spots that I know of, and Bro Bridge and just things like that. Sorry, I have a hair. It was really fun. I had a good time with it. Like I said, I wasn't really into the ending, how it ended, but it was still a good time. I enjoyed it. Then I picked up Good Intentions. This is by Ella Frank. This is the continuation of Gabe and Marcus's story from Bad Intentions. As much as I loved Bad Intentions, I loved Good Intentions, but it just wasn't as good as the first book. I was so disappointed. I did give this like 4 stars, I think. No, I gave it 3 stars. Okay. That's weird. I thought I had gave it 4 stars, but I gave it 3 stars. I'm going to bump it up to a 3.5 because I love Marcus and Gabe. It's just that I didn't feel there was much to this book. I felt like all what was happening in Good Intentions could have been put into one book, but you know, whatever, it's fine. I love the characters. I enjoyed getting back into them and watching their relationship grow, because we are left with a little bit of a cliffhanger in Bad Intentions at the end, and then it basically picks up right where we left off, but things are resolved quickly, and we just mainly are focusing on Marcus and Gabe and their relationship, and how the more Marcus is opening up to having a relationship and realizing that, you know, Gabe is the one. So yeah, so there really just wasn't much to this book, and I just felt like it wasn't necessary. I felt like it could have been, all that could have been done in the first book, but it's fine. It is what it is. It was a great story. I love Gabe and Marcus. Oh, I do want to mention this for A Flicker in the Dark. I did listen to this on audio. I thought the audio was fantastic. I really enjoyed our narrator's voice for this book. I also listened to Good Intentions, but I actually wasn't crazy about our narrator. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't that into his voice. But there was two. I think there was 2 voices, and it was Marcus's voice that I just really wasn't that crazy about, but Gabe's voice was cool. But anyway, just want to let y'all know that little nitbit. Then I picked up another thriller. This is Where They Found Her. This is by Kimberly McRate. This was the Book Troop Book Club pick of the month for January. I gave this 3 stars. Y'all, there was a lot happening in this book. I did listen to this on audio, and we do have a cast of narrators, so I did enjoy having that because I always like that. It was okay. The voice, as far as like the voices of our characters were okay. But I think that's kind of what kept me going with this book, because I found myself just not really into it the entire time. So we mainly follow Molly, and like I said, there are a lot of characters in this book. Molly has had a little bit of a past herself, so we get some transcripts of like her time with her therapist, and we also get like some of her journal entries that she's just kind of writing to herself. But Molly is a journalist in this story, so the book kind of opens up with the body of a baby, like a dead body of a baby, and that's kind of where we go from there. So we have Molly, who's like getting the inside scoop of the story. And then we have Sandy. Sandy is a young girl, and it seems to be like her mother is missing. Her mother is Jenna. She calls her mother Jenna. She doesn't really call her mother. We find out kind of why later on in the book, but her mother goes missing in the beginning, so we follow her around. And then we have Barbara, which I did not like this character. Like, her commentary I felt was unnecessary, because she was just one of those mothers where she's like, she's right, she's doing the right thing, she is the perfect mother. Her children, there's nothing wrong with her children. How dare you think that, you know, she's one of those where the teacher has to be like, oh, your child did this today, and she's like, how dare you, my child is perfect, kind of thing. She got on my last nerve. And then her husband is the chief of police. His name is Steve, so he's on the case. So I mean, I don't think he has his own, no, we don't hear from him, but he's in there. There's so many characters. Hannah and Cole, which are Barbara and Steve's children. So many characters going on. Then we also have like Molly and her husband and her daughter, and just this. Then we have other characters. There was so many people to try to keep up with, but it's basically the story about who is this child, where did this child come from, and what happened. And all these people have something to do with this child's story and what happened to this child. So in that aspect, it was very interesting. A lot of times I got confused at like, wait, who's who? Who did what? Who's this? Now, how do they fit into the story? It was just a lot to like keep up in my mind. I should have like made some sort of chart on like who was who, but yeah, it was a good story. The ending, I wasn't like super impressed, because I think my mind was so much on just trying to follow along and like who was who and who did what, that once we got to the ending of it all and what happened, I was just like, wait, what? That's it? You know, that kind of thing. But so yeah, 3 stars. And then finally, my last 2 books were both winners for the month of January. So I finished off the month with a bang, I guess. I finally picked up Code Red by N.R. Walker. Why did I wait so long to read this book? I don't know. And I should have known N.R. Walker would not let me down. This was such a good story, y'all. Just beautiful. N.R. Walker just knows how to write a beautiful love story between 2 men. I mean, it was beautiful. The only thing that was missing for me, now I gave this 5 stars just because it was, I loved it. But it would have just been so much better if we could have gotten Maddox's point of view. We mainly follow Roscoe. Roscoe is Maddox's manager. Maddox is in a boy band. So there's other guys involved, and I'm excited for the next book, which is Code Blue. Is going to be about Jeremy, which is Maddox's best friend in the group, and then I think the bodyguard, and I don't remember his name, but I think that's what Code Blue is going to be about. They have both been like silently in love with the other for years, and they basically finally act on those feelings, and the sexual tension before things finally get heated up is so good. And then you just root for them for the rest of the book. But it is hard for them because Maddox is in the spotlight all the time. He's exhausted. Roscoe can see this, and Maddox is lonely. Like it's been a long road for these guys. They've been doing this for years, and they're to a point where it's almost like they kind of need a break. So Maddox is sort of at that breaking point, and Roscoe is there just letting him lean on him and doing whatever he can to help Maddox get through this time in his life. And so yeah, there's, you know, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of like trouble with them getting together. Oh, it was so good, so good. I did listen to this on audio. Highly recommend the audio. It's read by Nick Russo. Chef's kiss for a male romance narrator. He is fantastic. I've loved everything he has narrated. She finally decides to come on camera. She's like been sitting right here in front of me. Yeah, Nick Russo is amazing. Chef's kiss for the narration. And then last but certainly not least, Gone But Not Forgotten by Charlie Cochet. This is the first book in the 10 series that comes off the Thirds series. I have been a Thirds lover since the first book, Hell and High Water. Loved it. Dex and Sloan will forever be my favorite couple. Their journey has been fun and heartbreaking, and just, oh, they've been through some stuff, these two guys. And so this starts sort of another level of their life. I don't want to give too much away in case you do want to go back and read the Thirds, because I highly recommend you do that. I guess you could probably jump into 10, but you really need to know Dex and Sloan and the other characters as well to really get a good feel on, you know, where they're coming from and how their journey in this book takes effect on our two beloved characters. So in this book, Dex and Sloan take on a case. And so 10 is Therian Intelligence Network. This is basically the FBI of Therians. Okay, it looks like I'm talking too much because my my camera's like, hey, you got one more round to go and then we're done here. But so anyway, I'll try to be quick with it. Dex and Sloan take on a mission with 10. And it ends up just kind of testing their relationship and where they're at in this point of their life. Things have happened that you need to understand before you get into this book. You need to understand what happened between Dex and Sloan and how they got to 10. You really do. You really do need to know that before you jump into this. So I don't want to say too much about it, but yeah, this is just the first book of Dex and Sloan. They've been with 10 now, as far as like this book goes, from the Thirds, from the last book in the Thirds. They've been with 10 for, what, 8 years now, I think? How long has it been? Does it say? I think it says in the book. It doesn't say back here. But they've been with 10 for a while. And this mission is just really going to test them. So apparently we have this bad guy who is kidnapping these young Therians. So Therians, let me give you a little bit of info on that. Therians are shapeshifters, basically. They're humans that can shift into an animal. There's like jaguar Therians, which is what Sloan is. Then we have lion Therian, we have cheetah Therians, bear Therians. It's hard to remember all the Therians, but they're basically shapeshifters. Something happened years ago during the Vietnam War, and this mutation came about. As children were born from these people that were affected by the virus, the virus started mutating in the body, and these people were able to start shifting. But there's something that happened, like when they shift back to human form, their bodies are weakened, and if they don't know how to treat their body, they can die. So this has just come a long way. This is a very long journey. So yeah, there's so much that goes into these books, y'all. So yeah, if you're gonna jump into 10, you really need to read the Thirds. You really do. But I promise you, it's gonna be a fun journey. After I read this, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back to the beginning. And I have been back to the beginning so many times. I'm ready to go back. I loved it. So yeah, like I say, we have this bad guy who is kidnapping these young Therians and like selling them. Some humans just, they think that this is a mutation to the humankind, and they treat these people like they're their pets, like put them out in their yard and shit like that. These are human beings that can just shift. They're not pets. So we have this man that is selling these Therians off to people as like pets. So Dex and Sloan go undercover to, you know, do what they gotta do Dex and Sloan things to take down the bad guys. But it was really, really good. I loved being back with Dex and Sloan. Like I said, it made me want to go all the way back to the beginning, which will be happening very soon, I promise you. So yeah, 5 stars for this one. Can't wait for the next one. All right, y'all, that is it for the month of January. So it started off rocky, but we ended up having a pretty good month in the end. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, how you felt about them, or if you're excited to maybe read any of these books. Do you want to read the thirds? Let me know if you want to read the thirds, or maybe you have read the thirds. I don't know. As always, thank y'all so much for watching. Hope you're all doing well out there. Stay safe, hugs from me all around, and I will see y'all very soon in a new video. Bye, y'all.